Hello, hello. All right, it looks like we are live on the stream. All right, cool. Give people a few minutes to hop in here for a sec. Crack one of these guys open because it's been that kind of a week. How's everybody doing in their quarantine? Surviving the coronavirus? COVID-19. I'm sterilizing from the inside. Oh, oh, didn't bubble. Aha, saved it. All right, thanks for joining me. I'm going to get right into it. So my name is Brian Morrison, software developer based out of Chicago, Illinois. I come to you. I didn't really have a regular schedule, but I guess it's every Thursday around 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Been coming to do some Azure stuff. Has been the topic of choice in my Discord, which is you can get to at brianmm.chat. I'm launching these weekly cloud challenges where I've chosen to go with Azure during this kind of cycle, schedule, whatever. But yeah, go in there. We vote on different things we want to do. We got a couple people in there who are dropping repositories and trying to, I don't know, show off some cool stuff they can do with Azure. So that's what we're going to do today. Today's topic is building and deploying a front end into Azure CDN. So for those who don't know what a CDN is, it's a content delivery network, I think is what the D stands for. Basically, it takes your site, your website, your whatever, sends it all around the world. So this way, whoever is accessing the site, it's going to hit the resource that's closest to them, the server, data center that's closest to them, and yeah, makes everything run a lot faster because you're not traveling all across the world. I mean, it kind of sounds silly because internet is super speed nowadays, but it does make a difference. So yeah, let's pick some music and get into it. I got Rock Hits 2000, so let's go ahead and shuffle this guy, see what happens. I don't hear anything yet. That's with my headphones. Did anybody hear anything? Anybody? Brian is not live. Audio apparently is playing and I'm not getting it. Oh, well, hold on a second. I don't know if I turned my headphones on. Okay. There we go. And this is way more country than I want it to be. Radiohead's a little soft for me. 3 doors down. Cool. All right, let's start with this one. So the first thing we're going to do is I am going to pull up my new website that I have been working on. Glad to catch you. Hey, God Bleak, how you doing? Glad to see you back in. I know I've seen you here a couple times, so yeah, it's been good. It's been good. How's everything going on your end? DMDXV, how are you today? Hopefully everything's going well over by you. That's the wrong one. Oh, Diamond, yeah, from the Discord. What's up, man? Yeah, what time is it out by you? Because you're on the other side of the planet right now. I think when I threw this out there was, 1:30 a.m.? All right, so I haven't really published this too much, but I am in the process of rebuilding my website at 1:30 a.m. Yeah, you're definitely up a little bit on the later side. So here is my website now. This is built completely in WordPress using themes and plugins and extensions and all sorts of stuff. And I came in here and I started screwing around with this section of it, and I'm like, I really need to just kind of rebuild this thing and make it a, whatever, serverless or a static website. So I decided to start exploring doing that. I did look at Gridsome, which is view-based, which I'm definitely more comfortable with. But I'm like, hey, let's check out something new. So I've started building this site out with Gatsby, and it's a total mess right now. But for the sake of the challenge, it's enough. So let's do. I think npm run dev is run develop. That's the wrong one. Hold on. I'm going to open this thing up locally so at least we can see what it looks like before we start actually deploying out to Azure. But you could do this with any front end or a static website. Even if you did something that was in Vue, React, Angular, as long as it's static content, not something that's going to hit a database directly on the back end, should work just fine. Now, if your website's calling like a back end API, that'll work out just fine too. I'm trying to make something totally static, so I want my site to scream. If this doesn't work, I might have my npm commands wrong. Let's blow this up, make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Probably looks a little bit better. All right, so npm run develop is what I wanted to. This thing is probably going to break because I realized I didn't start up my WordPress container. Let's open up another terminal. I'm going to cd into my Docker directory. Yeah, see, it's going to fail right then and there. Oh, actually, I never did an npm wait, I did do an npm install. We'll try it again. Anyway, yeah, so I have like a dummy Docker deal here. So it's just a Docker compose file that's just set some stuff up with Docker locally, or WordPress in a Docker container locally on my machine, because I'm not really at the process where I want to start importing all my content. And I really only want the blog posts anyway. I don't really care too much about the pages. I'm just going to recreate all of those using React to JavaScript. So I might even manually just port my stuff over just to see whatever's easier. So let's do a Docker compose up, which is going to launch my container that I have here. Maybe not. Oh, CD WordPress. Let me bring this up a little bit better so you guys can see it. Docker compose up. VS Code, a couple of releases back, introduced this little thing where if you got multiple folders, if you got multiple chain folders or different paths, it's all just one. It links. It shows them as one single line. I'm not a fan of that. I know there's a way to get rid of that. I just haven't explored doing it. Okay, npm run develop is not going to do as well. So let's do an npm install. Get all of our latest and greatest modules and everything down. So for anyone who is interested in seeing this site come to fruition, it is hosted on my GitHub. I'm B. Morrison Dev on there. In fact, let me grab that link. I can drop it in here. I need to get a bot set up for Twitch so this way I can do these things a little bit easier, but for now this will do. This thing is still installing. My 9-pound killer dog is going to attack probably my wife, who's coming in the back door. All right. There we go. So that's the repository that I'm actually using to build this thing. All sorts of vulnerabilities. Don't really care. We'll tackle those later. So let's try npm run develop now. All I'm doing now is I'm just starting up my Gatsby site. So it's gonna, as I understand, and I'm not a huge like Gatsby React person. That's why I decided to do this. So I'm like, at least we'll start learning it. It broke again. Someone wrong installing Sharp module. Module did not self-register. Well, this is going to be fun if my site doesn't even work on this machine. This is why I got to test things ahead of time. I have a bad habit of just like going in and winging it. I don't know why I'm even running the same command over again. All right, let's do some live debugging. Let's find out why this isn't installing. I bet you I have a suspicion on why it's not installing. For my work project, one of the ones that I'm working on, I'm required to use Node version 10 and below. And I uninstalled 12 and installed 10 earlier, so we might have to go back. So you're moving Expo client and Node.js completely and reinstall. Yeah, of course, right? All right. Nothing like a little maintenance live on the chat and on the Twitch. Let's go ahead and get rid of Node. Just download and install the latest one. Nope, cancel, not change, not change. Come on. Quick clickety-clickety and around. That's what I do. All right, let's download the latest installer. Save that guy. Screen's gonna blank out because I had to accept that thing. While that is doing its thing, what we're going to do is we're actually going to head over to Azure. I'm going to try and do a little bit of multitasking here. So I did discover something interesting last week after the stream. So if you didn't catch last week's stream, I was doing Azure Kubernetes service. And since Azure Kubernetes service, technically on the back end, I think it spins up a bunch of Azure VMs. It can hit the billing account quite hard. So I was like, I'm going to start this thing up, and when it's done, I'm just going to get rid of everything. Well, when you create an AKS instance, it spins up all these different resources all in one shot. So what I came to realize, like, is if you have a resource group that is dedicated to one thing, you just delete the whole resource group and it'll delete everything with it, which is cool because it's like exactly what I want. So let's create a resource group. We'll just do something specific for this this stream. And for those of you who are not aware of what a resource group, it's kind of a logical grouping of a bunch of different resources in Azure. The best example use case I've heard of it so far is like if you have a single application where you have a bunch of different resources, but they all kind of power one central app, a resource group is a good way to keep them all contained into one. So we're going to create a resource group of, let's see, Cloud Challenge. My convention has been 20.3.3. So 20 for 2020, 3 for the month, 3 for the challenge number that we're doing for that month. So ES1. I've been doing Central because I'm based in Chicago-ish. So US Central. I don't want to tag it. I'm just going to review and create it. Yeah, let's go and create it. All right, resource group created. Let's go to the resource group. 20th of the 3rd month. Yeah. So Diamond and I got into this discussion the other day in the Discord where we were talking about how Americans are so silly with their dates. I don't disagree, actually. I do agree that our standards should change because we do got to be the difficult ones. Node looks like it's finished uninstalling. So let's go ahead and install this latest 12 version of Node. And I'm probably going to have to kill my VS. We can get rid of that one. No, I don't want to save that. I'm going to have to close this out so we can make sure that those terminal sessions get the latest and greatest version of Node. Let's install that stuff. And see, so like normal dates around the world except for like the US would be what, day, month, year? I could do year, month, day too. That one might get a little confusing and a lot to say because you always got to start with the year, but I mean, it kind of makes sense otherwise. Makes so much more sense. All right, fair enough. I'm just, like I said, I'm American. I like to be extra difficult. Got to throw out other solutions and ideas out there. This is some cheap Aldi beer. Holland 1839. It's actually not that bad. It's one of my favorite little toys I got here. I got a Infinity Gauntlet bottle opener. It was a cheap, I think Instagram ad caught me and I'm like, I want that thing. That was like $10 or something like that. So glad I had some beer sitting around because I don't drink beer that often, and I normally don't have it laying around, and especially with the quarantine that everything's put in. It sounds like Chicago's going to be quarantined off like altogether, possibly the state. That's kind of weird. All right, so back to the task at hand. So let's open up our Docker container again, or launch it. So I'm going to cd into docker/WordPress, and let's Docker compose up. It might actually be running already still in the background. But no, I killed the terminal, so it's not going to be. All right, so let that thing do its thing. And in here, let's do npm install. Let it fix whatever it's trying to do here. Diamond says not city, street, number. That makes sense. Yeah, I can get behind that. Addresses are wrote like number, street, city. Yeah, that makes sense. Go from specific to generic. Yeah, that makes sense. That does. I think I'm going to get a Spotify account set up for Twitch, so this way I can let chat pick some of the songs that we listen to. Right now, I just use some of the iTunes. So I use iTunes. I'm an Apple guy when it comes to the mobile stuff. I use iTunes just to kind of like throw me a playlist. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. 2000s rock music. Sounds like the stuff that I grew up with, so I love it. All right, so install's done. npm run develop. Moment of truth. My Azure stream has turned into diagnosing Gatsby and npm. It's all right, we'll get there. If this doesn't work, I'll just generate something. I mean, I could just create a dumb HTML page. Not really that big of a deal. All right, so on the right-hand side, you're seeing there are some requests coming in. That's because Gatsby is pulling all the data from WordPress and creating static content based off of that. Okay, cool. So this launched fine. Oh, it's in progress still. It's doing a thing. It is doing a thing. So, okay, so localhost 8000 is where we're going to launch off of. So let's go to localhost 8000. And it broke. That's cool. Or it didn't. And that's cool too. So yeah, this is site 2.0. As you can see, there's still a lot that needs to be done here if you compare it to this. But we're getting there. So, and things like this nav bar, I was able to create at least one module from the nav bar, so that should be pretty consistent across the whole site. But it's very basic, but this is what I'm going to roll with, because if we can get through this thing quick enough, what I might do is I might actually just work on my website live, get that done and out of the way. All right, cool. So we have this. This is working. Now, because I am so unfamiliar with Gatsby, let's try and get a build out of this. So I'm gonna kill Gatsby. We'll leave the WordPress Docker container live because I'm guessing we're going to need it to actually build the site. Let's go into our NPM scripts. Let's see what we have available to us. We have a build, which I'm thinking might be what we're after. Let's try an NPM build. NPM run build. See what happens. All right, we see our Docker container going nuts. So it's doing a thing, it's doing stuff. It's interesting, they got like themes and stuff. Currently working on a Caesar Cipher-like project that makes encrypted crossword puzzle. That sounds neat. I don't even know what a Caesar Cipher is, but it sounds cool. When you start getting into crypto and security, there was a point in my career where I actually wanted to get into InfoSec. And then I realized it's all reading reports and playing the cat and mouse game, trying to play catch up with patching. And I'm like, nah, that's okay. Unless you're going to be a security researcher, that would be cool. But I don't think most InfoSec people do that kind of thing. So, all right. It looks like it's done. I've noticed I have this public site here, or this public folder here. So I'm guessing this is probably our package. Caesar Cipher replaces each letter with another letter by shifting letters left or right by a number. Okay, is that kind of the basis of there was a movie about that there was a movie about that about it's Imitation Game? I think it was about like the World War II era encryption techniques they used from Germany. I never actually seen it. It's been on my list to see for like ever. I just haven't watched it, but anyway, I digress. So public was created. I'm guessing this is our package. So we have a site, okay? The Imitation Game. Yep, there you go. All right, there's my desktop. Where's Firefox? Here we go. So we have a resource group. We're switching back over here. Now, the first thing you need to know about a CDN is it requires some kind of backing. It requires some kind of source. Now, technically, I can deploy my WordPress site out into a CDN. All I would have to do is just point the source of the content over to my WordPress site, and then every time someone tries to hit the WordPress site, or the CDN rather, every time somebody tries to hit the CDN URL, if it can't find that, if it has not cached that particular resource, it's going to go back to my WordPress site and say, hey, I need this file or I need this thing. Excuse me, before it will cache it. I'm going to go down the path of repeating myself because I lost train of thought for some reason. So if it can't find it, it's going to go back to the source and it's going to try and find it so it can pull it into the cache. Now, if it has it in the cache, it's just going to serve it up because it's been distributed, it's there, it's whatever. So that's kind of ideally where we want to be. We want as much to be in the cache and not changing as possible. Now, if you ever need to remove the content from the cache, you can invalidate the objects that are in there to force them to get out of there. We might get into that. I'm thinking what else we might try and do is get a pipeline set up using GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps. I know Azure DevOps. I don't know GitHub Actions, so it just depends on how much progress we make in the stream tonight. So where were we? Oh, yes. So backing. What we're going to actually use as a backing is an Azure storage account. If you're familiar with Amazon's services offerings, I think it's S3 is the same thing, where it's just object storage. You dump stuff in there. One of the cool things about S3 and Azure storage accounts is you can use them to host static websites. They're not distributed like a CDN, but it can act as a good backing for the resources themselves. And deploying to one of those object storage account type things is actually pretty easy for any kind of DevOps pipeline tools to do. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add, see what options we get here. Let's go to let's look for storage account. Storage account, blob files. Now, one interesting thing about Azure's flavor of this same thing is you can see there's a couple of options we have here. We've got blob, which is just objects. You've got file, which means you can mount things like NFS or Samba volumes over the internet or over a private network if you have it connected up that way. You can do table, which is kind of like SQL-ish data, or you can do queue, which is used for like an event-based development. We're only going to use the blob stuff here, but it's interesting that they combine a bunch of those different features into a single kind of umbrella, whereas opposed to someone like Amazon will just split it all up and do it completely separately. Storage account name. Let's do SA for storage account, and then we'll do hyphen, lowercase numbers. Okay, that's because we can't. SA, let's do Cloud Challenge 20033. Can I do an underscore? No, can I do a hyphen? No, you're not going to let me do that. So, all right, let's leave it like that. Central, standard. Let's see, what's the difference? Let's just take a look at some of the options we have here. Actually, I'm going to zoom in on here a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the options we have here. So for performance, standard storage accounts are backed by magnetic drives. Old school. Provide the lowest cost per gigabyte. They're best for applications that require bulk storage where data is accessed infrequently. Actually, this would work really well for our CDN because the only time that this data is being accessed is when the CDN has a cache miss. So it basically can't find the document. So it's going to reach into our storage account, grab the document, pull it into the CDN, and then that's it. And then it's not going to hit it anymore. Premium storage accounts are back to what we're reading, are backed by solid state drivers and offer consistent low latency performance. They can only be used with Azure Virtual Machine disks and are best for I/O intensive applications like databases. Again, we don't care about that. We're not even going to worry about that. Account kind. Let's look at what we got here. General purpose storage accounts provided for all the things we talked about earlier. Blob storage accounts are specialized for storing blob data and support choosing access to. Interesting. I did not know this. So it looks like you can specify whether you want to have the extra features enabled for that particular storage account. Choose an access tier that matches your storage needs and optimizes costs. So I'd make a bet that if I went with just blob storage, it's probably going to be cheaper. Let's click on Learn About Storage Account Kinds and see what this brings up. I mean, we more or less just talked about exactly what it is. I'm more interested in pricing. Yeah, we'll look up that later. Let's see, replication. We don't want no replication. Locally redundant storage. See, read access geo-redundant. So for these terms, so just to kind of explain them, locally redundant storage means it's probably local to either the availability zone or the region. Geo-redundant storage means it's going to be replicated across different regions, and then read access geo-redundant storage is probably kind of like a middle layer where only one of the regions is being written to, and the other ones are all read-only. I'm going to go locally redundant because we're trying to keep costs minimal. You know, I don't get paid to do this kind of stuff, so some of the small costs associated with this just come out of pocket. Access tier. On the surface, I know what this is, but let's see what we say here. The account access tier is the default tier that is inferred by any blob without explicitly set tier. Hot tier is ideal for frequently accessed data, and cool tier is for infrequently accessed data. I'm tempted to go with cool. Well, it sounds like we can probably change this on a file-by-file basis. So let's go with cool for now, because again, we're not really intending this kind of the stored files to be accessed that frequently. We just want them to be available so this way the CDN can reach in and grab them. So let's do that. Connectivity method, public endpoint. Yeah, so this is if like you wanted to mount it inside of a kind of a virtual network, a VNet. You could mount it inside of there. We want publicly available. We're not we're not really interested in this. This is all networks. Pay-as-you-go virtual network. The only selected network will be able to access the storage account. We're just going to go with accept the default. Advanced. Secure transfer required. Secure option enhances security, calling REST APIs, HTTPS. I'm a big fan of everything being HTTPS, so yeah, let's do HTTPS. Blob soft delete. When turned on, soft delete enables you to save and recover your blob data in many cases where blobs or blob snapshots are deleted. Protection extends the blobs that are deleted. Or blob, for those of you who don't know what that term is, it's binary large object. It's just like anything. It's a file, image, code, HTML, whatever, right? It's just a thing. It's just being stored there. This protection extends to blobs that are deleted as results of overwrites. So if you wanted some like really hardcore redundancy and protection against your data, that'd be a good option. Don't care. We're going to leave that disabled. Hierarchical namespace. The ADLS Gen 2 hierarchical namespace accelerates big data analytic workloads. We don't care about that, so we're going to leave that disabled. I actually don't even, I've never heard that term before, so. NFS v3. Oh, cool. Let's see what this says. Enables NFS protocol for your storage that allows users to share files across the network. We're not interested in that, so tags, we're not going to tag any of this stuff. Let's just go ahead and create it. Create the resource. Give me my storage account. It should be pretty quick. I'm hoping this is pretty quick. My last stream, when we set up our AKS, because there were so many things being created at the same time, it took like a half hour before. Or no, it was the one before that where we were building out using API management, that API management service for Azure. It took like a half hour for that thing to be done. I'm glad I had more things to do in that time. Oh, let this thing do its thing. All right, well, that's cranking away. Let's go ahead and go to home, and let's just go into CDN, and we'll kind of just look at this stuff. So create CDN profile. Yeah, deployment succeeded. There we go. All right, I'm going to put this on pause, and then we're going to go to the resource, and we're going to start diving back into there. Let's see. So let's go to Storage Explorer. Let's see what we got here. Blob containers. I wonder if we could just quickly upload. Actually, there is a feature in here where you can, oh, there's Azure CDN right there. We could probably just configure the CDN all directly from within the storage container or storage account. I've done this once or twice before, so I kind of know what I'm looking for. The one I'm interested in is the public website. And I'm hoping that it's not going to be an issue because I didn't select the other stuff. See, access keys, geo-replication, cores, properties, containers. Unless they move stuff on me. There's that option. There's that possibility too. Let's go to containers. Let's create one. Create a new container. Let's see what this does. Public. Anonymous read access for blobs only. Anonymous read access. Let's choose blob. Be read by an anonymous request, but container data is not available. Cannot enumerate blobs within the container. That's probably a good thing. We don't want people to be able to hit any one of the containers and see all the files within it. We just basically want them to hit it and get a website. Container. I don't know. Let's do a website. Create the container. Let's go in here. Upload. The VHD is page blobs. We're not uploading any VHD files. Let's select, whoops. Repos here, and our public directory is what we were interested in. Upload a folder. See anything here that says any access about public website? We might have to redo this. We might have to pick a different one. Go ahead and upload these documents. Just get everything in there. Is it done? We still going? That was quicker than I thought it was going to be. It looks like it took everything. Oh, it didn't take the files, did it? Or the folders. just did the files. Kind of stinks. Because there were folders in here, weren't there? I went to the tricky part, taking each letter of each word and replacing it with a new letter. Oh. Let's take a look at our build directory again. No, not there. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in here that's not... I do not like it, Sam, I am. This was supposed to be a lot simpler. At least it was the first time I did it. Now there is a way... This should be the URL. Let's go here. Resource not found. Index.html. Whoop, if I could spell. All right, so that loads something. But you can see, like, using this cloud storage, we can't actually host a public website. But, I am not seeing any of the folders in there, so this is going to break real bad. Then properties. Nothing really here to set a... For kicks, I'm going to create another storage account, and I'm just going to accept all the defaults, meaning we're going to get access to all those different extra resources that are available, and I want to see what the different options I have are, because I know, and again, I've done this before, right? So there is a way, storage account name, let's do cloud 20332. There is a way to specify that you want to set a public website, and it kind of does most of the heavy lifting for you. So I wonder if it might have something to do with the fact that the access tier is off. Anyway, I'm just going to accept all the defaults, review, and create. Just do your thing, Azure. Let's make sure that we can actually get to the process of uploading all of our files and having them stored in the storage account, so this way the CDN can do its thing. Now, one of the cool things, if I gather about Gatsby, the way that it works is I can run my WordPress site locally, which is going to be really nice because I pay for special hosting, which is not really special. I mean, I guess most hosting providers support hosting PHP files and, you know, have MySQL databases and all that, which is cool. But if I can do kind of like if I can convert it to a model where I'm paying as little as possible as like the number of times my website gets hit, you know, just like charge me for that. That'd be cool, because if my website gets really popular for whatever reason at some point, and, you know, I'm getting a lot of hits anyway on the website, then I'm going to have to increase whatever tier that I've used. Here we go. This is what I was expecting. So there's a static website option here. Let's just like take the last 15 minutes of the stream and just throw it out. Forget it ever did any of that stuff. But anyway, like if I get so many hits on my website, I'm gonna have to increase the tier that I'm on with the hosting provider anyway. And some of these hosting providers are like dime a dozen, you know, like some of them are not that good, especially the inexpensive ones. And I like to save money wherever possible. So I'm gonna get another beer here soon. Static website. This is what I was expecting. Enable, check the box. Index document name. How about index.html? How about, what was our error document path? I think it was just 404 index.html. I think I noticed. We're going to try that out because inside of my public directory, I obviously have an index. There's 404 right in the root there. So let's just say 404.html. Diamond says special, but it's a feature you'd think was mandatory, like backup management or hooking up a custom domain. I'm not sure if I interpret that properly, so maybe you have to elaborate a little bit on what you're trying to explain. Anyway, back to our task at hand. So I created the static website. Here's a primary endpoint, secondary endpoint, just different ways you can access it. I think one of these, when you configure a storage account, static website can be accessed. This is via this region-specific web endpoint. So this secondary is specific to this region. They always try to get you in marketing terms. Oh, yeah. I got you. Yeah, they do. They always try and tell you need more than you need. Luckily, I've been around the block enough times to where it's like, nah, I know what I'm talking about and I know what I need. Thank you very much. Go away. All right, so we enabled that storage account. If we go inside of our blob containers, you can see we have this $web here. This is actually what's going to host all of our files. Now, I don't know that I can actually upload. Yeah, see, it's still looking for files. So we're going to have to figure out how we can upload like an entire directory. I wonder if we can unzip something. Because if I can zip it and then unzip it within here, that would be cool too. Paste, folder statistics. There's a drop down here, it looks like, but it's not letting me do anything. Data transfer, what do we have here? No, it's not going to help us. All right, so let's do Azure. Let's do upload folder. Let's see what this does. AZ copy is probably a way to access programmatically, yeah. It's a very easy way to maintain group sets of files, like an Apache install. Download to local storage from a blob is extremely simple, and zip file can handle any. How to unzip. Eclipse project provides a VBS script. Nope, you say VBS script, I'm already out. Can't upload folder into the root. Oh, well, let's try. Let me go into here and let's just try it, see what happens. Might be able to select public. No, it's not going to let me do that, is it? I think there's a tool you can use, I think, to access Azure Storage Explorer. I think there's something you could download to upload files and folders into Azure. And downloading Storage Explorer. Free tool to easily manage your cloud resources from anywhere. That sounds like a winner. That's the cool thing about doing some of the streaming stuff sometimes is I just like learn stuff as I go. Again, like I had said earlier, you'd think I would actually take the time to do some of my research ahead of time, but it's like, no. We're just going to do it on stream. Figure it out. Make an ass of myself. Let everybody laugh at me for a little bit. I really don't care. Make no difference to me. Yes, accept all the terms. Sign my life away. Sorry for the noise as I set the beer down. I probably should get a little side table so it doesn't hit so hard, but... Yep. This is the Hives, isn't it? Yeah. This song comes on like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a day at work. So we usually have this style music playing in the background. And this song just comes on all the time. This and like a handful of others. Especially if somebody like picks one of the like pick a playlist that's like curated by Spotify, it just plays like the same 10 songs over and over again. And what's hilarious is no one in the office seems to catch it until like 4 p.m. And then someone looks like, you heard the song like 10 times today. They're like, yeah, we probably should have changed it earlier, but we don't. I guess it's a good thing because everyone's really kind of involved in their stuff. So we're all working hard. But yeah, we know how to have fun too. That's a long install. I've got so many projects I need to do, like just different ideas and things that have come to my head. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this cloud stuff, but I am sincerely thinking about throwing it on the stream up throughout the week so I can start working on some other things. I know one of the things I'm thinking about doing, and if somebody out there in chat world knows a way to do this, is I want a way to programmatically generate the carbon.now.sh is the website I think it is, where you can paste code into the website and it generates an image. I use those images on my Twitter feed where if I create something that I think someone's going to get some use out of, I'll create I'll even create a gist out of it too, but I'll take it and then send it there. What I'd like to do is I'd like to way to programmatically, like if I create a gist, just go create the image for me and send it to me. That would be cool. Okay, so this is the storage account. It's loading, it's doing a thing. Storage accounts, connect. We want to connect. Add an account into Azure. Authentication. I'm going to switch to my secret scene here for a minute, but you'll still be able to see me. So bear with me for one moment while I'm putting in my stuff. Let's see. Created by your IT department. I am my IT department. Get off my back. You worry about yourself. And have to enter the MFA code, because that's how we roll up in the Morrison household. If you have the opportunity, add two-factor authentication to everything. Because security. Some sort of web scraper. Oh yeah, okay, so I totally diverged. So Diamond, yeah. My thought process, and actually since you're in the Discord, you'll notice that there's a new channel underneath community projects. I changed some things around. Originally it was just Project Apostle, which I can get into as well, but there is one there that says like carbon scraper, carbon downloader. I don't remember exactly what I called it, but that's the project I was going to start. I'm going to announce at the next weekly announcement that I'm like starting to brainstorm some of these cool projects that everyone can get involved with and be useful and stuff, learn some cool stuff. There is a project by Google called Puppeteer that I've started working with. I've done some cool stuff with it, but what it essentially lets you do is run a headless version of Chrome and you can use things like jQuery selectors to do different things within the web page. So like one of the things that I used it for was just to sign into, I don't remember the name of the website, but I'm like, I wanted a way to pull some data out of a website, and they didn't have an API. So I wrote something where it will hit the home page, it'll go to the sign in page, type my credentials in, click sign in, wait for a little bit, and then pull the data off the page that I want to, and I can parse it all using Node. It's really cool. So that was kind of my thought process, like, hey, if we did something like that would work just fine. So can I zoom in on this? Zoom in. Yeah, control equals. Zoom in so we can see some stuff here. So you can see, we have a $logs directory. I don't know anything about that. But here is our web directory. Upload folder. I like it. All right, so here's all the files that we uploaded. Can I get rid of this? I don't want to see this. Might have to do this a couple times. Oh, can we drag and drop? Let's try and drag and drop. Let's go over here. Let's go and reveal in File Explorer. Seems easy now. I'm hoping so. Yeah, God Bleak. I got my phone with me everywhere. Most everywhere. So there are sometimes I just drag and dropped. It looks like it's transferring. All right, let's let this thing do its thing. I usually mostly have my phone everywhere, just because I do, I guess. So yeah, I'm always easy to pull it up. And the nice thing about I use a service called Authy for all my stuff, which is cloud-based. It's cloud-based, but you still need a master password to decrypt the MFA tokens. You could actually download a client local thing to a computer. As long as you sign into it and have your master password, you can still access it. So that's pretty helpful. So this way you don't actually have to have your phone. I only use it with my phone though for the most part. Anyway, here's all of our folders. Let's go back into Firefox and let's refresh this. Can I refresh from within here? Yeah, refresh. We have folders. All right, now let's try and hit our site. If we go back over to this Azure CDN, we will see, oh, hold on, not Azure CDN. We'll get there. Let's go to static website. So here is where we want to access it from. Let's go ahead and paste that in, see what we get. We get something. It loads files, but it doesn't seem to want to get anything else. So I'm pulling up the Firefox debugger. See if we got any broken stuff. Refresh this. Nah, still doesn't. I don't know. Anyway, I was really hoping that I'd get all the styling and stuff along with this, but it didn't for some reason. But nevertheless, that's kind of not the point. The styling's not the point. The point is we have a website here. It's a broke-ass website, but it's still a website. So let's just kind of keep trucking along. I might try and come back. Once we get everything up into CDN, we'll come back and we'll try and fix that. But from here, I'm actually just going to go right into Azure CDN, which is on the left-hand side of our storage account settings. So let's see what we got here. Azure CDN is designed to send audio, video, images, and other files faster and more reliably to customers using servers that are closest to the users. Kind of everything that I went through when we started the stream. Create a new CDN profile. We're gonna create a new profile. We're gonna go CDN underscore. I don't know if I can do underscore. Cloud challenge. Oh, dude! Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot to. Anyway, I completely forgot to switch it back. I really appreciate that. I'm an idiot. So for those of you who didn't see what I did, not much has happened, thankfully. I use this Azure storage account, signed into it. It shows all of my stuff over here. And then all I did was inside of this directory, drag and drop this stuff over here. Okay. So it uploaded everything, which is really cool. We didn't have to do anything through the browser. And then in here, I pulled up my website, which is using, hold on, back up. Let's go to static website, which is where we were earlier. And I pulled this URL inside a static website and just pulled it up just like that. So I'll go ahead and drop that guy in chat too, because why not? Yeah, I appreciate that. I made some dumb mistakes on my streams in the past. I haven't done that in a while, where I've done anything that silly. So, shit happens. One time I did a whole stream. It was like an hour-long stream, and then like 50 minutes into it, I noticed I'm like, oh no, my mic's been turned off this whole time. Whoops. So anyway, so yeah, this is the site we pulled up here. The styling is broke. I don't know why it didn't pull the right CSS, but again, we'll try and fix that in a little bit. That might just be a Gatsby thing. I haven't even looked at the website locally, so that might not, I mean, besides using their serve command, whatever, so it might be something to do with the way that I built it. I don't know. Let's go to back to our regularly scheduled program, Azure CDN. So in the left-hand sidebar, we're going to select Azure CDN. I read through some of the stuff earlier. I'm not going to read through it again. So we have CDN Cloud Challenge. First and last characters must be a letter or number, hyphens. I can do hyphens, so we'll do CDN hyphen 200332. This is going to match our storage account name. Pricing tier, standard Microsoft. You can view full pricing details here. We want to be El Cheapo. Most of these have most of the good. I mean, most of these tiers here are all the same thing. You can see the pricing is all the same. They have some different features and stuff here, but all we need is this. We'll just pick standard Microsoft. Premium tier looks like it has more features, but we won't go through that right now. So we'll pick standard Microsoft CDN name. We're just going to copy the profile name in there. So this should be the URL that we use to access our CDN. So that plus .azureedge.net. So our origin host name. This was where I think one of the guys in our Discord said he tried doing it, but he wasn't. I don't know if he was ever to get it working or what. But I said there was a trick to doing this, and I don't remember what it was. Now we're gonna find out as we go. But this is gonna be our origin host name. We'll leave that like it is. I would think Azure is smart enough to say like, hey, if you're trying to hook up a CDN to this, it's gonna know. I don't think it will, but we're gonna see. Let's go ahead and create this. Might have to do some troubleshooting and diagnosis on this guy. By the way, if you're feeling ever so inclined, there is a donate button inside of my chat or my side of my Twitch profile. Any donations are more than welcome, more than accepted. What that money is going to go to basically is this kind of stuff because, again, Azure is not free. They have a free tier for the first year, but I've blown past that a long time ago. So it's going to go towards this. It's going to go towards advanced bots for the Discord. It would go towards that Spotify account I was talking about. Just stuff to support the stream. You know, God, I can't even... I spent a lot of money out of pocket on this. I mean, I bought... When I first started doing this about a year ago, I bought new monitors. I got this fancy pants mic. I upgraded my PC to support this. When I was doing a PS4 streaming, which I did for only a handful of times, I got a capture card. That cost money. I probably have sunk... See, the screens were about 100. The mic was about 100. The webcam was about 150. So we're up to 450. All my cables and stuff, we'll estimate those to be about an extra $150. So that's probably like 600 because I actually have my computer in the basement and I've got cables that are running down there just to keep the space clean. I would say no less than $1,000 I've spent out of pocket just doing this. It's an expensive hobby. I don't know. I mean, everybody's into their own thing. I'm blessed with the fact that I've got a good job. Even before this, I was, I don't know. I do all right. I guess that's kind of the goal of a lot of developers is like, hey, you want to do something you love and you want to make some decent money doing it. So this is a way that I get back to the community. Dismiss all the ones that are not running. Oh, it dismissed the ones that were running. Whoops. Can I see the progress anymore? I don't actually know. More events and activity log. Time span, last 7 hours, pay as you go. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess we're kind of waiting. Oh, there we go. Successfully create a CDN endpoint. Let's go to the resource and see what we got here. All right, so here is our endpoint host name. Let's copy that and go here. I kind of figured it wasn't going to work. Let's go to $web. That didn't work right, but it tried redirecting to, a lot of stuff. I think the trick was to add the forward $web to the host name. Origin path, $web. I think that was the trick. I know it's complaining about that. If you want CDN to use a specific directory, it retrieves, add it here. Origin path should only start with $web is the origin. Unless you know what I had to do. Let's discard those changes. Can I put a flash here? It doesn't like that. I think I actually had to change this to custom origin. Origin was there. Origin host header, we can do that. I think this was $web here. Don't know what we did here. X.html. Actually, hold on a second. No, let's go into our back in Azure. I'm opening up another tab because I don't want to lose my spot where I'm at. Diamond just got notification. Appreciate the tip, man. I really do. I really, really do. Again, I don't do this for the money. I enjoy doing it, but you know, again, everything's got a cost. All right, so static website. Let's look at our URL we have here again. I think this had something to do with it. So if you notice, the primary endpoint here is this cloud challenges, 2:22 a.m., 2:20 for a coffee. I can dig it. I can get behind that. I really do. I do appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, so let's go back into our let's say custom origin again. Now let's go ahead and pop this guy in here. Oh, I copied it. We will get everything from here. Like that. Origin path index.html. I don't think we need to specify that because I think how much does coffees cost? Oh, geez, man, it doesn't. You never know. I mean, God, it depends where you go. I mean, I usually make my own coffee, to be honest, because I mean, if you go to like a Dunkin' Donuts out this way, you can coffee for like $1. McDonald's is like $1, but you go to Starbucks, man. I mean, it's like $5 for a cup of coffee. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's drinks that I like from there that are really good, but they're expensive. That's why like going to Starbucks is like a very, very infrequent treat for me. I can't imagine. Here are people that do that every single day. Just go to Starbucks and get a coffee or a latte or whatever from there every single day. It's like, good Lord, you figure if they go every day and a latte averages out to be about $5, it's what, five times 30 days in the month. You're talking like $150 a month in coffee. That's like stupid. Is it 300? Did I math that wrong? $3,600 a year. Yeah. All this. Yeah, it's like it's 150, right? $150 a month. What are those? I don't day. It could be in the middle of the day. I don't question math. It's web/index.html. Not found. You hit a route that doesn't exist. Okay, so we are heading in the right direction. So I think I need to put $web index.html. Ah, what is up with this? I can't remember the trick behind this now. Or you know what? Unless I got to do index.html. Or is there an option for a default document? Let's go ahead and... Should I do that? Let's save that. Updating origin settings. Error pages should generate random memes like Twitch does. It's not a bad idea. That is not a bad idea. I would do that. It could take up to 10 minutes for the origin settings to propagate. Yeah, that's the one downside with CDN. So I'm going to talk about this for a second before I answer that statement. So because your content is essentially hosted all over the world, whenever you do make changes, it generally does take a while for those changes to reflect. It's not instantaneous, which is kind of the trade-off of using a CDN. I mentioned earlier you can invalidate the objects inside of the cache, which will make it happen faster, but at least from my experience, and I wouldn't claim to say I have a ton of experience with CDNs, like I'm not an expert on them, it still takes a little while. Like one of my projects I did last year, I deployed out a Vue application into AWS S3 and then hosted that using CloudFront, which is their CloudFront, which is their CDN solution. And I didn't validate the cache, and it would still take like a while for my new changes to take place. I mean, I usually I just run a deploy before I went to sleep, or run a release before I went to sleep, and then I'm just like, by the next morning, I had to be done. All right, so I'm just going to peek through some of these options, and I'm going to see if what we got here. So compression is on. Caching rules. Let's see what we got here. Ignore query strings. I'm not querying anything, so that shouldn't be an issue. Geofiltering. I don't want to filter. I imagine geofiltering endpoints to block or allow content in specific countries. I like your own kind of built-in firewall. That's cool. Optimization. Set different. Can enhance it based on the type. Okay, so coming back to that statement. The memes on the Twitch, I like the idea. I do. It's a neat idea. My problem, and this is probably a personal thing, which I totally accept that, is sometimes I like to be a little too professional. And really, the kind of point of this whole of my website is to just be like a professional landing spot for developers to come and see things. Um, you know, I might be. I don't know. I don't know. It's a good idea though. It is. So origin hostname. Let's refresh this. Let's get rid of all this stuff here. Do that. There we go. That's what it was. Okay, so the trick was, and I think this has mostly to do with the fact that when you set up the CDN profile for a storage account, it's not taking into consideration that you have already configured the static website. So if you've noticed, the primary endpoint here and the primary endpoint, I don't know if I can even see it anymore, but when I configure the Azure CDN, it didn't give me the option. Yeah, see, it's saying the origin host name is this blob.core, whatever, right? Like this isn't the host name that was provided to us with that static website hosting. So I'm thinking what that's doing is like if you're hosting like objects outside of just a regular website. I mean, technically you can host a static website in any container, but you know, once you check the box that says I want to have a static website, it kind of does most of the heavy lifting for you, which is really nice. So that, I mean, honestly, that's it. That's the whole deal, right? Oh, wait a second. Maybe I'm wrong. I went on this whole ramble about how we just succeeded and realized maybe I didn't. The route you hit doesn't exist. The sadness. Wait a second. Hold on. Okay, that's that one. So this is accessing, if you can see this URL, this is accessing that directly. Now let's go to our CDN profile and grab this. I don't have a path there, so why is this complaining? Oh, HTTPS. Oh no, it does work. Wait a second, hold on. Why did it redirect back to there? I placed to the origin. I'm such an idiot. Gotta include those Easter eggs for my people who are still human. That's a good point. I do like that. All right, that's the origin. Let's go just post this in there, see what happens. Okay, so it doesn't like that for some reason. Route not found. If I go to index, let's see what it does. This doesn't do anything. Sample page, I think was one. All right. Now I'm kind of lost because when I did this before, that was the trick just to get things set up. Let's see, CDN, Gatsby, route. What is the error message we got? Route doesn't exist. Let me take a look and see what our this looks like in here. So if I go, I see index.html here. It's probably gonna be flattened and look all nasty. I don't need that stuff anymore. Oh wow, it even took the images and made those into objects. That's kind of neat. So it looks like what it did here is it actually took my logo, and instead of uploading the IMG or the JPEG file, it actually created it base64 encoded the whole image. Well, I'm betting that probably increases performance, which is pretty cool. Pulling all sorts of stuff here. Why would it care? This is what I'm confused about. Like, there's no path there, sure, but like, why would it care? Sample page. This is an example page. This is what pulled in from the WordPress site. You need to adjust the Nginx config to serve index.html when accessing star. All right, so do I have to set a default index document name is that? let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of that, save that. Because if inside of the CDN profile I set the origin to go to index.html, I wonder if it like internally it's trying to like concatenate those two together where it's like /index.html /index.html, which is why I can't find it. So we'll let the CDN we'll let that handle it. So still not found. Let's go here and go to, see, that still works. It says not found and goes to welcome home. See that? Let's just do 404.html. Take up to 30 seconds to happen. All right, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on here now. This is the other problem with something I do every once in a while is I try and overcomplicate things by doing something that's like way above what I'm really need to show. I guess not really. I mean, the goal was to put a front end of some kind up into Azure CDN. So that's what we're trying to do here. And routing just so happened to be an issue. Next.html doesn't show anything. 404.html. I wonder if there's a way within the logs I can see what it's trying to hit on the origin side. Let's go into here's our CDN profile. We have diagnostics logs. So let's take a look here and see what we could find. Diagnostics setting name. So diagnostics settings specifies a list of categories of platform logs or metrics you want to collect. Diagnostics setting name. I don't know, default diag settings. For analytics, let's send to log analytics, pay as you go, default workspace. That's fine. So log analytics is like Azure's log aggregation platform. It lets you do some pretty cool stuff like querying it. If you're familiar with the like Elastic Stack, it's that but not as cool, I guess is the best way to put it. Sorry, let's try and hit this a couple times. Let's try like sample page. I'm wondering, you know what I'm going to get rid of all these default pages. Let's save that. And let's go in here and let's go to origin. Well, let's get rid of that. Just get rid of everything. Diamond says, I made progress. The letters of each new word are not being replaced by the encrypted numbers. Sweet. Good job. If you want a Diamond, if you want to share that project with the Discord, I don't know if you have it on. I don't know if you have it in a publicly hosted repo, but feel free. I mean, you've seen where I'm not shy to helping people out and letting other people help each other out. So like, you know, drop whatever links or whatever you want, and I'm sure other people inside of our Discord would think it's cool to work on that stuff. Okay, 404 not found. Let's just try and manually go to index.html. Not found. Oh, not found. That's interesting. All right, so let's go back here. So as we remember, this is the non-CDN version of the origin index.html. So that shows, but if you notice on top, it ripped out that front. I know I'm getting farther away from the mic. It looks like I'm talking loud enough to where the levels seem okay though. to do. It's not liking the index.html. So we've removed the default documents. Let's try and leave these blank, and let's try and specify index.html here. Save that. Unless maybe I don't need to point that to anything, like just set the origin to. We'll try this first. If not, we might flip it and go the other way to where on the origin side, in the Azure storage account, we're setting /index.html there. All right. So let's enter here. That should give me a 404, that's what I'd expect. That's not getting anything, but if I go to, I did notice it index.html. There we go. CDN. Yeah, CDN. Okay, so this is CDN, so this worked. This is some very dirty, dude, there's very dirty code and everything, man. You should see some of the projects that I've built before that like are working, and it's just like, leave them, they're fine, it does its thing. I feel, yeah, well, it's good to clean stuff up. I'm a huge fan of cleaning code up. So this did work after I put index.html. Let's do sample page. That does not find. So this definitely has something to do with the way that Gatsby is trying to do our routing here. So this didn't work. So it works there, but it removes that. Let's try and just set this index.html. So that's the default document name. So it should load index.html just fine. And cloud, we'll get rid of orange path. Like just hit the thing normally. What is this? YouTube? No, I'm okay. I don't need YouTube. Everclear is always a good one. McDonald's is giving free drinks to emergency services in the UK. That is awesome. Awesome. These are weird times we're living in. I mean, it's weird. Like, we've been through, like, I'm going down total conspiracy theory route, and I don't do this that often. Like, I'm not one of those types that will just, like, get, like, hung up on, hey, that worked. That was it. That was a trick. All right, cool. This thought first, then this. So I'm not one of those that gets hung up on conspiracy theories because most of the time they don't, like, get to me, bother me, whatever. But what is interesting about this is I feel like this is the first of these, like, super mega flus that, or whatever, the super bugs, where, like, they're just locking down the whole world. Like, you think about the last 10 years, and we've had so many things. Like, there was Ebola, and there was E. coli, and there was the swine flu, and the bird flu, and the, I don't know, pig flu, pig swine flu, whatever. And it's like, yeah, those are bad. I'm not saying they weren't. But it's interesting that, like, this is the one where, like, I mean, our entire city's on the verge of being locked down. You know? It's all lies so the government can change the batteries in the spike. Yeah, see? That's what I was talking about. Like, it's total conspiracy theory BS. I don't, it doesn't matter. I mean, I can think what I want. People can think what they want. But it doesn't change anything. I just want everybody to be safe. Like, if staying at your home and quarantining yourself is what's going to keep you safe, do that. Let the government change their spy pigeon batteries. Okay, so recapping everything we just went through, and then now we're actually going to try and fix the CSS issues because I'm really curious to know why that didn't work. So the trick, the key behind all of this was inside of our static website settings, inside of the Azure storage account, we have the primary endpoint, we have the secondary endpoint, and we wanted to set the default document there. So this way, when someone hits the root of this site, of that URL, it will load index.html, which should cover. Before we go into this, I want to test to make sure a child path works. Sample page. There we go. It works from the CDN side. Cool. So that's it. Now we can keep going. So we want the default document to be index.html. So when the root of the site is hit, that's the site, that's the page that loads. And being like other front-end frameworks, once that loads, it loads all the necessary JavaScript, handle the routing and all that fun stuff. So that's cool. That's what we want it to. Now, I overcomplicated the hell out of this and made it much more challenging for myself than it should have been by trying to set the origin path to /index.html, which means not only was the origin trying to default to index.html, also my CDN was trying to, and I suspect that there was some kind of like extra pathing being added when it was passing it back to the storage account, and that was what was causing all of our issues. So this is the special combination. Inside of the storage account, set your default document. Inside of the CDN, set a custom origin to point towards the URL that you are provided inside of your primary endpoint, and everything is good and happy. Now, you can't use the default CDN settings because it doesn't take into consideration that you're using a static website with Azure storage accounts. Boys and girls, we have deployed out a front end into Azure CDN, and thus ends our lesson that we have for our cloud challenge. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to continue on because we're going to fix this issue with the CSS. The first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into here. I want to browse to this directory automatically, or manually, to see if this looks like this on my local machine. Because all of our files are here, we shouldn't be running into any kind of weird rewriting or redirecting or any of that fun stuff. So let's go. Let me find out where the path to this file is. CD public. All right, so here is where our file is located. File : / all that fun stuff / index.html. Let me get rid of these. See, another thing. I love Windows. I really do. I really like Windows. I don't want to use Linux. I don't want to use Mac as my daily driver operating system. However, I hate that they are the only ones, like Americans, which need to be difficult, and use the wrong version of the /. Okay, so we're locally, and this still isn't working, which kind of makes me happy because that means it's not an issue with the CDN or anything that we just did. It's an issue with Gatsby or however it was built. Now, I'm not using, which might also be part of the issue, I'm not using regular CSS, I'm using Sass. Those are all the editors I have. Let's see. Kind of wish you didn't claim independence a few hundred. Yeah. No, I think we're doing all right. Grand scheme of things, I think we're doing okay. Old politics coming into play in the Twitch chat. Okay, so we're not using CSS, but inside of my source directory, I do have static, no, components, all.sass. Sass. All right, let's do Gatsby. Let's do a search for Gatsby, build Sass. Using Sass and Gatsby. I figure this is probably not an unknown issue. It's an extension. Yeah, we know that. Backwards dates serve you right for the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, right. Someone cracked a joke one time, and I think it was actually my history teacher back in high school. He's like, a lot of these history books make it sound like our forefathers were all noble, and we dressed as dressed as whatever. The thing is, they dressed like Native Americans and went out and dumped a bunch of tea into the thing. He's like, I make a bet that it was just they were all drunk and threw a feather in their hat and just dumped a bunch of shit off the end of a pier, and then that was what started the whole war. I was like, okay, I can kind of see that. Anyway, so we've installed the plugin, right? That should be installed. Let's check our dependents or our node modules and package.json. I'm going to get rid of this terminal session here. Gatsby plugin Sass. That is installed. Step 1. All right, let's move on. Write your Sass, do all your stuff, import styles. Okay, that's all we need to do. Done that. There's a plugin that needs to be in gatsby-config.js. Let's see if that's there. Nope, not Visual Studio, VS Code. Gatsby config. There's plugin Sass. Interesting. My entire debugging and testing consists of console.log. That's not a bad thing. I know that in the general community that kind of seems as a ha-ha frowned upon kind of a thing. I don't think it is, though. Sometimes that's the only way you can debug. Like, I made this comment the other day to somebody that, like, at work, we use AngularJS. Not Angular. Like, you're talking Angular 1. This is pre-Angular. And there is not a lot of good tools to debug that code. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of, like, console log some stuff out. Let's see what happens and refresh the page. I've used it. Sometimes the debug tools don't work that well. Sometimes that's what you need to do. You know what else I want to do is I want to look at, let's look at that index.html and see what it's pulling in. So under public, I make a bet. All right, we got styles. And these are the styles. Okay, so it did build the Sass. 404. Can I normalize this? We are going to, hold on one second. I do have to switch again real quick to my secret scene. I promise you I won't forget to switch it back this time. I'm opening Sublime and I want to make sure I don't have anything on there that's of any concern or other tabs. No, I don't need that. No, I don't need that. No, I don't. Sublime text, I like VS Code for the actual editors thing. All right, switch back. I like VS Code for the editor, but I use Sublime Text to do like transform, clean up JSON and do some bulk work on files. So if I set this to HTML and I indent, can I re-indent the lines? It's not going to like that. I bet you this file is probably a little too jacked up to do that. No, it's not going to work. Okay, it was worth a shot. Not even going to worry about that then. So this is importing styles. Actually, let's find styles. Style sheet is Bootstrap. It's referencing styles.javascript. Let's take a look at our files here. We got JS, we got js.map. That's doing styles. That's doing styles.js. All right, so it seems to be importing this file. Okay, let me read this documentation again one more time. So acquire and import them as normal. I wonder if there's a root page that needs to be importing that. Try dev.to article. These ones are usually pretty good. Got the plugin. Name layout.css. I named it Sass. I wonder if it's because it's not, it's .sass as opposed to .scss. That's why we're running into that issue. But the nice thing is now we can debug this thing locally. And I lost my train of thought again. I see him. Good Lord, I've already been doing this for an hour and a half. All right. Let's not lose it. Let's keep going. Components, all.sass. Let's rename this SCSS. Let's see what that does. Oh, there's all sorts complaining. Expected bracket. Okay, so it's looking for brackets now. See, the original thing says Sass, and it does work normally. I don't know. It's layout.j. Is it in my layouts directory? Or my layouts file? Layout. All.sass. It's pulling it in. I can try and rebuild it. I mean, when all else fails, restart, right? It's not the Windows way. 3 a.m. Yep. Well, I appreciate you joining the chat and keeping us all entertained, man. I really do. It's the same article I was on earlier. Yeah, you too. Have a good night. Get some rest, and we will see you in the Discord. Have a good night. I'm just clicking on stuff now. Yeah, I'm like totally losing steam. I want to figure this out. I do. Let's try and rebuild it. You know what? Just go for it. Run build. Ah, it broke. What did we break? Failed. It's probably not a problem in NPM. We're busy. Oh, you know what? I bet you it's because I have this thing up. Wouldn't think that would have a lock on the file, but nope. Does. Under. All right. Oh, you know what? Just delete it manually. You know what's interesting thing about VS Code that I'm not a huge fan of is it doesn't ever seem to, like, if you delete something and it has an issue, sometimes it won't tell you about it. Sometimes it will just like, you'll delete it and it'll just like hang out there. So sometimes you got to go into Windows Explorer and delete it manually. Hey, there we go. All right, it's gone. No, what are you doing? What? All right, you know what? I quit. We're going all the way back out and coming back in. I started my Docker container again. CD, Docker, WordPress, Docker, compose. Oh, hold on. God, I can't autocomplete. Docker, compose, up. So I used to work on Cisco devices not terribly long ago, but one of the coolest thing about Cisco devices is their command line autocompletes. So if you just hit tab, it will find the closest command to your tab, or if it can't find a specific command, it will try and show you your available commands that are prefixed with whatever you've started to type, which is really, really, really nice. Purge CSS only processing all.sas. Okay, building production JavaScript and CSS bundles. I think this looks different than it did before. Oh, I don't have the previous messages. That's okay. Let's try and do close tab. Oh, still broke. Whoa. Letting the Cable Sleep by Bush. This is a throwback. I haven't heard this song in forever. It's a good song, though. I mean, not right now because I want to go to sleep as it is. This song's going to make me want to go to sleep even more, but... Failed to load file for script. So it's not loading stuff. If I come here and I F12 this. So it's not finding the favicon. What's interesting is I'm not even seeing it try and load that file. So like we saw a style JavaScript component. I'm not even seeing it trying to pull that up in here. SAS not working. Let's try this journal with CSS not loading. Gatsby v2's not load CSS properly. Gatsby plugin styled components. What's interesting is Gatsby develop works. Try to refer your CSS in Gatsby.js, Gatsby browser.js. I mean, it would be nice to have specific CSS files, but I guess we could always just create them and import them all into one master one. Do I have a Gatsby browser? Seeing it. Gatsby build. I guess we could specify because the CSS loads when we're running it locally. Gatsby build CSS not loading. Saying remove cache node modules and the lock file. npm again. I see, I'm seeing these scripts being pulled in here, but I'm not seeing anything that's relating to that style one, like the main. Thing in this actual one that's trying to load the style, I don't think. It's there. Yeah, no, it's not. Interesting. So like this right here is Bootstrap. I'm not worried about Bootstrap loading because that's doing what I'm expecting it to do. Get rid of some of the stuff. We'll try and redeploy that out in a little bit. And there is a bug report here. A couple here at least. I mentioned something about the build. Let's see. CSS applied and develop and build is in a different order. Let's see if we can figure out where that is. Create pages, on create node. No, this is all for building the data. That's not what I'm looking for. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on here now. I'm really, really confused. I might have to drop a message somewhere to try and figure out what's going on. Or form component. So can development production build styles from form has lower level. This is from like a year and a half ago. Gatsby plugin offline. I wonder if that's in there. I didn't even think about that until just now. React Helmet, Sass, source WordPress we want. Plugin Transformer Sharp, Purge CSS. Activates purging and Gatsby develop. Make sure to keep it last in the array. I'm actually going to get rid of this netlify because I don't plan on using netlify. So I don't want that to be screwing up anything. I'm going to remove this plugin too. See what that does. Okay, it looks like both of our directories are purged. Okay, let's try and go back in here and refresh. I'm wondering if because this is local though. Or index.html. It's not even loading CSS now. Yeah, this probably has something to do with I'm gonna get rid of everything in here. I just delete. All right, Azure Storage Explorer, we're just gonna get rid of everything out of here, and I'm gonna re-upload everything. Okay, no data. Go ahead and drag my, oh, not everything. You say no. Copy, there we go. Copying back in my folders. Already exists in the destination. Replace, apply to all conflicts. Just heard the other day, this is Papa Roach. I just heard they're putting out some new music. I was surprised to hear about that. I probably ought to not talk about music too much on my stream just because my my recordings don't actually have the music in it that go up to YouTube. So like they're gonna randomly hear me talking about like music, and it's like, yep, no idea what you're talking about, dude. All right, I'm going back to our static website. We're not going to work off the CDN for now because CDN, like I said, takes a little while to update. We're just going to load right in here. Yeah, see, this still didn't work. This should load all the latest and greatest stuff. And I don't know. This is, again, this probably has something to do with my lack of understanding with Gatsby. But, I think tonight we've still kind of accomplished the task at hand, which was taking a website, a front end framework of some kind, and publishing it into Azure CDN to optimize the performance of it. I still have yet to create that video to demonstrate the AKS follow-up. Last week, if you followed along with the stream, we kind of hit a roadblock, again, due to my lack of understanding and then lack of planning. But we had to stop it short because I wasn't entirely sure what the issue was with AKS, where I couldn't deploy out a container. And I think a lot of that had to do with my lack of understanding of Kubernetes as a whole. I understand Docker pretty well, but I've never really played around with Kubernetes. Done enough research, but that's kind of been the extent of it. So, with that said, I think I'm going to sign off for the evening. Thank you for the people who joined me and were active in the chat. Do appreciate it. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for everything. Thanks for all the support. If you are interested in getting involved with our community cloud challenges, please join brianmm.chat. Enter that into your browser, redirects you right to the Discord. We're a friendly environment with a bunch of developers who just chit chat, help each other out, and then do this thing. And as I had mentioned, there's a couple of updates coming. One of them is just some general projects that I'm throwing together, things that I think would be cool to work on all together, just so we can release into the open source community for whatever. I'm also going to start posting updates onto my blog for the updates that happen for Discord, so this way just the general world can see what we're up to. And with that, I think we're done for the evening. Thank you for following along, and have a great evening, or evening, morning, wherever you're at. Bye-bye.